What's up everyone, my name is Luke and welcome to my channel, where I share intriguing ideas and helpful thoughts about finance and productivities. Today's video is dedicated to all of my Bitcoin believers to help y'all get through this turbulent and trying time and further build your convictions, because we all know it ain't easy out there right now. At the time of making this video, Bitcoin is at its lowest in a year, hovering around $30,000. I want to make this video using one quote as the guided theme. I love good quotes and I like making things simple. This quote or mantra has always helped me focus on the bigger picture during hard times. You can truly apply this to so many areas of life, but for now, let's just focus on Bitcoin. To briefly define Bitcoin for today's talk, I believe that Bitcoin is a powerful technology created during the 2008 financial crisis to improve transparency and automate trust between entities. With that stated, let me continue to share some facts with you so that I may back up my Bitcoin price prediction of $1 million in the long run. Now, this is not financial advice, but I do have a lot of experience in the financial field, so I hope you guys will walk away with a good amount of value to build your conviction. The quote that I want to share with you guys today has to do with a man named Steve Apple, or is it Steve Jobs? It's been too long. Anyways, it was at a Harvard graduation commencement speech in 2005, and the quote says something like this: "Death is very likely the single best invention of life. It is life's change agent." Now you ask, how does this quote help me build conviction in Bitcoin? Allow me to explain my case. Did you know that the demographic who invest in Bitcoin are between the age of 18 to 45? Now, why is that important? Because the younger that you are, the smaller your wallet size is, but the more receptive that you are to taking on new technology. We did not get to where we are today with computers and mobile phones because Warren Buffett led the change in Coca-Cola. It is because young Bill Gates and Steve Jobs of the world decided to push the envelope of our imagination. That is what moves society forward. In 2022, Bitcoin has come a long way. The newest survey that came out showing 22% of all Americans own crypto. That's about 46 million people. Sound like it's a lot of people and a lot of money, right? But let's just go ahead and break that down. The crypto market is only about 2 trillion versus the stock market, which is about 27 trillion, compared to the bond market, which is about 46 trillion. Now, if you believe that Bitcoin and the blockchain will be a part of the core investable class in the future, like stocks and bonds, then allow me to continue to build my case and calm your nerves. Where and who do you think a huge part of that 27 trillion and 46 trillion currently lies with? That's right, it's currently with the boomers, your grandparents or your parents if they had you late. My parents are boomers. Unfortunately, they don't have any money for me to invest in Bitcoin, and that's why I'm on YouTube, to pay the bills. Okay, enough sobbing. In this graphic here, we can see that there's about 1 in 4 millennials that currently owns crypto, but only about 6% of boomer owns crypto. Are you starting to see the potential of what I'm talking about here? Do you see the inevitable wealth transfer that will eventually occur? Here's another one so we can see the big picture. An article that came out in March by Fortune magazine stated that millennials' wealth more than doubled to 9 trillion since the pandemic began. But it is still 8 times less than the baby boomers, which currently stands at 71 trillion. Again, most of that are wrapped in stocks and bonds, wrapped in mutual funds and ETF. It is almost unimaginable to think none of that 71 trillion won't flow into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as young people inherit their family's wealth and as Bitcoin becomes more and more common in the economy, the digital economy, and as our lives continue to become more digitized. I just can't, especially when all long-term macro science and generational behavior signals are pointing that way. Another point here that I want to bring up is another observation that I made, which is backed up by an article written by Yahoo Finance. They said that young people are more comfortable holding Bitcoin than gold. I had a feeling about this when I first started investing, and I found how easy it was to buy Bitcoin versus gold. If you are new to Bitcoin and it's a little shaky about the characteristic of it, then I highly recommend checking out an excellent video by Tom Bilyeu called The Philosophy of Bitcoin and How It Could Change the World as We Know It with Robert Breedlove. I'll go ahead and link down below if you're interested. It is the most beautiful explanation of Bitcoin that I have come across. All right, so my worst case scenario for Bitcoin is that it will act as the future most transparent digital form of the gold market. Okay, so let's combine the previous 2 points together here so that I can present my worst case scenario for Bitcoin and also what I think is a more realistic case for the digital asset. So if the baby boomers, who are 57 years of age or older, holds about 72 trillions of wealth in other traditional assets, and if Bitcoin is the digital form of gold, which is about 10 trillion in market cap, then Bitcoin, which is 1 trillion in market cap right now, in its worst case, should at least 10x from here, as the change agent of life, which is death, take its place with the last generation. For people who are doubtful that Bitcoin will replace gold as a store of value, I want you to think about a technology that was there when you were born, and you can't imagine how the world was before it. Maybe it could be a TV, or a car, or a sitting down, flushable toilet. It will be the same with Bitcoin. One day, younger people can barely remember what the world was like before Bitcoin. Realistically though, I don't think we'll have to wait until all of the boomers to disappear in order for Bitcoin to reach 10 trillion in market cap. Another article that I found written by Harvard Business Review backed up another feeling that I myself, and I'm sure many of us had. It is that the pace of technology adoption speeds up as human evolves through time. It took decades for the telephone to reach 50% of households beginning before 1900, but it only took 5 years or less for cell phones to accomplish the same penetration in 1990. When Motorola introduced the first cell phone in the United States in 1980, it cost $4,000 and can only talk for 30 minutes. It also weighed more than 2 pounds. It was nothing more than a toy for the rich. And as you can see here in these two graphics, pause if you need to. The technology adoption curve gets steeper and steeper. Steeper means faster with each new technology. It will only get faster as the speed of information continues to increase over each decade. So let's tie this back to my main point. Technology adoption is inevitable, and Bitcoin is a technology. Back then, when the computer was first introduced, when it was clunky and didn't have as much usage as now, many older people were able to continue their life without ever having to use the device. But as we all know, the computer still gained huge market share from 2000 and onward. So if we take a look at what's going on now, computers are now mobile and have made their way into our pockets, and many seniors have no choice but to adopt them in order for their lives to remain functional. For those final groups who are even later than the last adopters, who refuse to use the new technology, who still may be able to go through life without ever needing new technology of the younger generation, they will eventually be erased by the best invention of life, which is death, because that too is inevitable. I think the same thing will happen with Bitcoin. It will eventually get to a point in the future where the utility will be so vast and the anchor that it has taken in society has become so strong that only people who are not using Bitcoin in one way or another will be just a few percent of the population. Here's another quick bonus quote to end my argument. For those who are asking, how will I know if Bitcoin will survive as a technology? The quote is, build it and they will come. Just simply take a look around you, and you can easily see for the past 2 or 3 years, the adoption continues to build. As the infrastructure continues to make its way into our economic environment, political environment, and technological environment. It will get harder and harder for the older generation and the incumbent technology like banks to resist change. Oh, and by the way, multiple investment reports are coming out from many banks like Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs are now bullish on crypto versus just a year or two ago. In its worst case scenario, it will eventually reach at least $1 million per coin because that is when it will be equal to the current gold market. Thank you so much for stopping by. I am grateful that you've taken the time out of your day to listen to what I have to share. I would love to hear your thoughts about the future of Bitcoins in the comments, because I'm just one person and we all know that collective thoughts are better than one. If you want to know what to do in the current market crash for people under 35, then go ahead and click right here. Click right here if you want to hear my 2022 analysis of ARK and Cathie Wood and when is a good time to give them a second look. All right, everyone, I wish y'all a blessed day. Bye for now.